Good afternoon. This is the Democratic Alliance Labour Report, Friday the 20th of January 2022. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And if you find it interesting, please pass this on. Like I said, it's the Democratic Alliance Labour Report. There's some issues that I do want to talk about. The UIF and their investment into that dud company that they were going to make, and the matriculants and the poor quality of jobs that might be available, small business owners because of Eskom, government now thinking of some way of trying to help small businesses by putting up a fund again. That will be more fraud. And then of course the post office is wanting to cut salaries by 40%. So thank you for listening to me. It's Michael Bagram. I'm the Labour spokesperson for the Democratic Alliance. Well, I want to start off with one rather sad but funny anecdotal story. You will know that there is a really interesting story going around in KwaZulu-Natal, and I've checked it out, it's true. What happened there was that the Eskom offices in KwaZulu-Natal have been cut off completely. Why? Because they haven't paid their electricity bill. I can't make this up. No one can make that up. Not even Lewis Carroll in Alice in Wonderland could tell you a story that the electrical producer, the sole electrical producer for a country, was unable to pay its electrical account to the municipality. So there you have it as a wonderful start to the next week. Well, you might recall in our previous discussion, I at that stage referred to the UIF who wanted to invest in some madcap scheme to create jobs. Now we know that government doesn't create jobs. Government is supposed to create an environment for job creation. Well, I don't think they understand that, but I'm trying desperately to explain that to the minister. So in that madcap scheme, they were going to take monies that were public money from the staff of South Africa who have been investing in the UIF, who have put that into the Public Investment Corporation, and they wanted to take millions, hundreds of millions of those monies and invest it in a company that's got no history. Now, I've just been investigating that, and one of the executives, the mastermind behind that company, is a fellow that's been declared by the courts to be a delinquent director. Now, the government knows this. They know it only too well. They've worked with the same man for years. So what's missing over here? What don't we understand? You've got a man who wants hundreds of millions of rands invested, and in fact the UIF commissioner said it's a good idea, and so did the Director General of the Department of Employment and Labour. They said it was a good idea as well to invest. They know the man well. They know that the man was turned down by the International Labour Organization when he stood for a position. He was turned down. We also know that the Minister of Employment and Labour now has said he's going to investigate this. And then we've had absolute radio silence. So I just thought I'd bring back that news. Well, that strange story aside, we now have government saying, well, we've noticed that small businesses are suffering because they can't get electricity. Well, what do you think they are? You think they're enjoying that? Well, hundreds of small businesses are going bankrupt. Hundreds of small businesses are closing down. And those that are managing to eke a living are certainly not creating any employment, which is our biggest problem in South Africa, never mind the electricity. So as a bright spark somewhere in government, they said, well, let's put a fund aside to try and help these small businesses. There's a beautiful path, an absolutely beautiful path for more fraud. We saw that during COVID. There was 500 billion rand put aside to help people in South Africa over the COVID period, and no one gave us a proper accounting of what happened to the 500 billion rand. We don't even know where we got it in the first place. No one wants to tell us. Probably borrowed it from someone and are probably now servicing the debt, but the money didn't find its way into the needy. It is really strange. Well, let's turn to matriculants. Now, last year I did a recording of this nature as Michael Bagram and as the Labour spokesperson for the Democratic Alliance, and I said 70% of those matriculants will probably not find jobs if they don't get some sort of qualification or some sort of training to get into a job. Well, that came to pass. We have over 70% unemployment in the youth category between the ages of 16 and 25. Well, my prediction now is that 80% of those matriculants who don't get some sort of qualification or some sort of training will not be able to find jobs. So the idea is for the matriculants to volunteer, to go into training schemes, to do anything to be able to get a foot into the door of employment, because you've got to compete. You've got to be part of that 20% that gets a job. So as the Democratic Alliance, we're saying, let's ease up the system. Let's ease up the deregulation for small business. Small business is the engine room for job creation for the youth. And it's not going to be done in the current government. It can't be done by them. They can't think beyond their own employment. It's a sad indictment. So to the matriculants, I do wish you good luck, but I do say look at particular industries. Look at the BPOs, the business processing industry, the telecommunications industry. Look at security, anything to do with tourism. That's where you'll find jobs. That's where you'll get some training. Turn to that. And the Democratic Alliance wishes you luck. And the Democratic Alliance will, in the next elections, ensure that we pick up more than 20% that can find jobs. It's unsustainable. It cannot be. Now, the reality is, let's look at the post office. The post office, and we speak about it often, used to be a world-class institution. The post office was well on its way to actually securing itself for the future. But what happened is it's been likewise destroyed by an ANC government, completely destroyed, hollowed out, theft was rife. Every cadre member that had to get a job was just forced into the post office, regardless of their skills, regardless of their training, and they got jobs. The post office is now saying they're over 30% overemployed. They're paying over 30% too much salary, and they're saying they just don't have the wherewithal to carry on. So they're now calling for a chance to actually cut jobs. They're looking to cut 40% of jobs, but they've got trade unions. This is a government that says they respect trade unions. Well, the ANC does not respect trade unions. They didn't consult with the trade unions. Like you would see under a DA government, they sit hand in glove with the trade unions. They consult, they talk, they negotiate. A DA does that. If you've signed agreements with trade unions, respect the agreements. Respect the fact that our law says you must consult. They cannot make decisions without that consultation, which unfortunately the post office first announces what they want to do and then says, oh, by the way, we better talk to the trade unions. That's only going to anger trade unions madly. Now, where are we with the court system? Now, I'm laughing because I practice a lot in the court system itself. And I've just seen a memorandum from the Deputy Judge President. And the memorandum says that unfortunately the courts do not have electricity. They don't have generators. They don't have inverters. Government said they haven't got any money for them to get that material. So what do? They're going to have to start running court cases again, like they had to do it under COVID via Zoom. That's not ideal. It never will be ideal, and unfortunately they're destroying the judiciary at the same time. Excuse me, I've had a bit of flu. The reality is that everyone is suffering. Everyone is suffering because of Eskom. We're going to see that for the next few years. Hopefully, people understand that and vote with their feet. Thank you for listening to me. It's Michael Bagram, Labour spokesperson for the Democratic Alliance.